Hey folks, welcome back to another video. We're back, it's season 6 of the CSGB League and we're on the grid ready to go for the first round at Saudi Arabia as the lights are getting ready to go out, starting in 16th place. Not a good start to the season really, in this slightly revised format, having the sprint first out of all the races, and it's predictably a carnage-filled start. Bit of a pile at the beginning, completely blocked by several cars, all caught up in their own issues, which led to a VSC as there was more incidents further around, including my teammate unfortunately, so not a good start from McLaren. Settled down into 14th on lap 3 as the race sort of restarts after the safety car. And we have more incidents up ahead, so looking to capitalise a bit more as Brad has spun around on the inside. Just looking to sort of gain some ground on these cars ahead as there's another car off. I didn't quite spot who that was, one of the Williams. Narrow escape there for sure, as it looks like Hayden has a really slow entry and a poor exit as well, which, you know, presumably means he's got some kind of wing damage of some kind. Just reiterating myself from months ago. Coming up to battle for join this battle for 6th place really, as Tom has a little bit of contact with Liam, leaving the door open for me to take 8th place at this point. And as we follow this train round through the section of the track, we get a good exit from this corner. We apply the ERS, and with the setup we're running, we're able to get a good run on these two. Tom gets boxed in by me and Gio, and we actually managed to pull off a double overtake past both of these guys and move up into 6th, which I must say was very pleasing.
Fucking yes. Let's go.
So we work our way forward now. We catch up to Peter in 4th place, and not quite enough to make the move just yet, but we end up getting a decent exit compared to him and running it around the outside, but using a lot of ERS in the process unfortunately, as Tom comes past us a couple of laps later to take 3rd at this point in the race, with Peter just behind. And then a few laps after that, we join this gaggle of cars, all fighting for the lead, with AFC and Boyworm having a little bit of contact out of turn 2. And AFC trying to avoid contact on that occasion, so we take advantage of that and take 3rd place off him. Jeff particularly appreciated that one, I think. As we latch onto the back of Boyworm here, and we've got a really good opportunity here to try and get 2nd place. But I think mistakes were made quite early on in this process, because what we could have done is played the long game and held DRS and saved up ERS for when we need it, because we're only on about 10% at the moment. But Boyworm comes back past us on lap 12, quite a comfortable move with the DRS. And we then got back past him again towards the end of the lap. Again, mistakes being made because, well, we were looking to complete that move, but we will get the DRS here to drag past him, and I think we're hoping to use the ERS we had left, which is pretty minimal, to get the move done, get the move done permanently and hold the 2nd place to the end. But unfortunately Boyworm did find his way past on that back straight before the pit straight, and we had nothing really left in the tank to challenge him. So we come across the line in P3 in the opening race of the season, which, you know, can't really complain about that for sure, but it was knowing how close it was somewhat agonising. But we move on to the feature race, starting 15th, a pretty poor quali, but the same went for my teammate unfortunately, so we had a lot of work to do. Not the best start from me, but a rocket ship start from Ryan, that's for sure. Unless mine just looked that bad, as Rom Elson, I think that was, went round, and then there was Dovey parked in the middle of the track as well, and we damaged our wing, forcing us into the pit lane, which was really unfortunate. So the plan was to hopefully get another soft tyre stint in a few laps' time. So we'd run these as hard as we can and then change to softs again later, as we make a move on Gio after narrowly missing Boyworm, parked around one of the flat-out banked corners. Pro, going past Pro there as well. And actually this was pretty amazing timing, because this was around our pit window for the next set of softs, which was very exciting, because we thought, well, this has saved us a lot of time. in terms
That's
of
why you fucking never give up.
our strategy and staying with the front guys. So it gave us an opportunity to get these better tyres on and stay in a good track position, basically. So we went for a move on Liam here, used the ERS, a bit of DRS as well, to complete this move with Tom on our inside as well, so we had to be cautious about that. It's still there, so we ran a little bit wide to give him some room, but the track position was ours and held 7th place. However, Tom then came back up down the inside at this banked hairpin at the top of the circuit, but came back at him on the penultimate lap of the race. Again, jostling over 7th, runs a bit wide and leaves me very little room to stay within the limits. Then we dragged back past him, going on to the final lap. And we had a back marker to deal with at that point, but managed to negotiate that. Fortunately, Tom did then get the better run, being on the outside, and that left us, well, with the penalties that we were carrying as well in the track limits. It dropped us down to P9 anyway, so it was a couple of points to take from the feature. But as you heard, Ryan managed to get 2nd place for McLaren, so really
well done, Ryan.
Bringing the goods, delivering the goods in the feature race, that's for sure. So we move on to Hungary, which would be round 3 of the championship, due to other commitments elsewhere, but away we go. And again, not a brilliant start, not a lot of practice going into this race, unfortunately, but I'll get the excuses out now. Braking quite deep into turn 1, but having to back off somewhat due to, well, a lot of traffic, really.
Got to be very patient here, guys.
As I say, be patient. I actually then try and go for the move here, which doesn't really work. Still being impatient, trying to get up the inside, and, you know, 2 into 1 doesn't go, really. So, yeah, not an ideal attempt there, but we come up through lap 4, but unfortunately we clip the curb in an odd way, and it catches us out, clout the wall, the wheel comes off, and that was all she wrote for the sprint race at Hungary. Not an ideal start. Not an ideal start at all. But yeah, putting it down to a lack of practice, lack of familiarity with the track. Perhaps a issue with the setup, suspension-wise, and yeah, it just spat the car out as I hit the curb in the wrong way. But we stayed in the lobby to watch the race, and Ryan worked his way up to P5, which is a really good point score for McLaren once again. So really setting up his championship challenge in the early stages of the season. Going into the feature race, again qualifying not great, 15th, Ryan in 14th. Giving us a free choice of tyre though, so we'll try and make the strategy work as we get underway. A better start actually, interestingly, on the mediums than I got on the softs, I think. That might be owing to my track position. As we go down the centre, we've sort of boxed in somewhat, so we don't have much to do there. Held 15th, but went a bit too deep on the brakes and hit the back of Brad as Ryan got spun round as well, unfortunately. So not a pretty start in the feature at Hungary, not really. As there's even more carnage up ahead, which you try to avoid, but wait till he gets hit into my path and I have nowhere to go. Lucky I'm still in the race. The game awards a drive-through penalty, which really doesn't help the case, but that's the circumstance I found myself in. There was absolutely no room to get through any of that. No time to react. Might have been, but given how the cars collided, there wasn't much room to get away from it. But we pressed on regardless. We had the safety car restart, and unfortunately our tyres were still too cold, and we were just unfamiliar with what we could get away with getting on the exits of corners, particularly that final corner, and it cost us. We pit again to change that wing because, well, this game is very punishing for that. We cleared the drive-through on the following lap, but being on the hards now to take them to the end, we had a spin. Again, not a pretty race this one, but showcasing this to show it's not always, they don't always go to plan. Practice is so important when it comes to league racing. We're down in 16th, we get a safety car, and for some reason I chose to pit, not really thinking carefully enough about where the leaders were, because as we leave, there's the leader.
Oh, I've been lapped. Fuck.
And unfortunately, that really put the final nail in the coffin for this race, as I saw it at this point in time, because I considered the possibility of overtaking the leader and driving away, but there was no real chance of that. Had to move, let them all go, and that effectively ruined the race. It was basically a poor strategy decision.
It's not gonna work.
Best opportunity would have been to join the back of the field before I made that pit stop during the safety car, but we skip ahead because not much happened. We were circulating around for the next sort of 20 odd laps. And, well, Ryan ended up winning the race, which is amazing. And again, was really going to help his case in terms of the championship, that's for sure. But what that race did do is it gave us pole position for the sprint at Mexico a week later. So we are sat on pole and had a good opportunity for a good point score if we can keep it clean. But lights out, away we go. Wackney had a really good start. Banana Boss not so good, dropping back to 4th. But you know, we're being out-dragged. We had the ERS, but we've been out-dragged a little bit by Wackney, who's down the insides. Not much we could do there. So decided to play this smart. Not good there, getting a warning already. Turn 1. Well, not turn 1, turn 2 even. And had a virtual safety car on lap 1, carried through to lap 2. Still in second at this point, getting a bit of pressure from Bambino though. He ended up coming past us on lap 3. So looking just play the long game here. It's a sprint race, sure, but you've got to play the long game and be smart about it and make use of the cars that are faster than you to reduce your race time. That's the ultimate goal with a Grand Prix of any length. We had a safety car on lap 8, which gave us an opportunity to pit and get the medium tyres on. So, and then we experienced an odd glitch on the final corner at Mexico. Well, not the final corner, the penultimate corner, where the car seemed to bog down for some bizarre reason. We had another safety car later on, and then these two had some kind of strange coming together, which was quite confusing, but it did gift us the lead again. So we made the most of that. Big kick of oversteer as we tried to get on the power. And we got away on lap 16 in the lead at this point, with Zondy bearing down on us, carrying a 5-second penalty, but which was bound to get removed, which I believe it eventually did, for contact during that safety car where we had the leaders sort of clash in before it restarted. But then Zondy just got enough drag on this final lap to come past us. Didn't quite have enough, and it was so frustrating knowing we were moments away from being able to hold on to that victory. Because, yes, as you see, we did win the race on track. I say on track with the penalties applied, but those penalties did eventually come off due to them having no fault in that incident on the safety car restart, as you saw. So we did eventually take P2 in that race, I believe, which was still a fantastic return. But we get away in the feature. Again, a poor quali is a bit of a trend forming here. Those who aren't aware, my quali is absolutely shocking. And so is my start in this race, actually. It wasn't great, 17th. But again, we've tried and work forward, grab some points in this race. Let's help our teammate in our quest to win the Constructors' Championship, I guess. Because, well, Ryan is much quicker than me. He's had much more consistent results. He's been much more consistent in appearances this season. So he's in a good spot to take the championship. Or at least battle for it. There's all sorts of incidents in the midfield. Trying to negotiate those. We're up to 13th on lap 2, making a bit of ground. Even more incidents in that same section on lap 2, up to 11th, our teammate just ahead. Thomas goes round, we're up to 10th, we're into the points on lap 2. On skill alone. And we get a safety car. Virtual safety car, which doesn't stay out very long, but half a lap. So we remain on our tyres, trying to sort of play the long game. Be sensible. Pro Mayhem goes down the inside. Pretty clean move in the end, just had a bit more grip. But again, trying to make the most of those drivers who are quicker than us to reduce our overall race time. Trying to be patient. It is a long race. You can't make last-ditch moves and risky attempts at overtakes. When it's lap 5, you can sort of get away with that on lap 35 maybe, but not lap 5. There's too much racing left to go. Coming through turns 1, 2 and 3 on the back of Massey. Actually get the move done a little bit further on. So quite comfortable in the end with the assistance of ERS. Later on we get Wackney coming past us as some of those drivers who pit earlier are now coming back past us now with their superior pace. But what we were trying to do is run these mediums to a period of rain that was impending, which we were checking with Jeff now on lap 15. So yeah, getting a bit anxious at this point for that rain to arrive, given the state of the tyres and how much longer we're going to get out of them. But we held on, kept pushing to hold on to as many positions as we could before that rain eventually arrived. We were hoping the sooner the better, which I think it sort of arrived around lap 21. We started seeing pit stops. So I don't know who that was. They had no name next to them. Bit of a game glitch there, as Boywan comes down the inside of us as well. We dropped down to 9th now with 6 seconds of penalties as well, unfortunately. And as you can see, the rain has started falling now, and we pit in for a set of intermediates. And again, this glitch seemed to reappear under safety car, and for some reason there were cars going extremely slowly on this final sector as the race restarted. A Bambino spinning all over the circuit after getting it wrong on the final corner. There's another safety car deployed due to other incidents further around the track. We're up to 7th at this point. Yet again, that glitch came up, and we just lost the field fully. Zone D's come past us as well, though we tried to sort of hold it around the outside, use the extra grip on the outside, the extra minimum speed you can carry. Left a bit of room for him, and in the end we actually managed to hold this, which surprised me a little bit. I can't lie. And Zone D, in trying to stick with me, I think got a little bit too on the power and lost the car. Initially I thought maybe I was partly to blame for that, but luckily that was more just his error in terms of applying the power a bit too much. So we were getting calls that the rain was going to be easing, so we took the risk and came in for a set of softs. Now we're under safety car.
I had no idea.
So the job now was to try and make the end of the race after the safety car came back in, get a big clout from behind. But we were trying to sort of make the softs work for us, because it was still kind of damp. The rain had stopped, but it was still damp on the track, so we didn't know how the tyre temps were going to behave.
Sitting duck here. How the fuck am I a sitting duck?
Yeah, we're just holding on for dear life, really. There was a lot of faster drives around us. They'd obviously got the temperatures into a better window than myself. But as my temperatures came back into it, I was able to go on the offensive again. I made it a very tense finish to the end of the race, that's for sure. Huge train up ahead. We get the braking wrong into Spud, unfortunately. My teammate goes round in the stadium section, which is really unfortunate. He's behind us in 9th as we're challenging Banana Boss now for 7th place. Spud goes a bit wide, and it gives us the opportunity to complete this move on Banana Boss, but he's able to actually hold it on the inside, and hoping to use the sort of out-drag him on this little straight here, which we managed to, so we got up to 6th. Boyworm was up ahead on the intermediate, so he risked it, and it wasn't working in his favour anymore as the track continued to dry out. His tyres were probably overheating like crazy at this point, so he was quite easy pickings for 5th place, but bear in mind we still have that 6-second penalty looming. And unfortunately we came up behind Pro, and it seemed like he was going very slowly through this section, and there was some unexpected braking on his part through there, and it meant we clouted the back of him, lost a bit of our wing, and were really kind of forced to let our teammate through to give him the best opportunity to fight. And knowing that we had an extra 3 seconds more than Spud, we were trying desperately to stay ahead of him and keep that gap over 3 seconds. In the end, the gap was less than a 10th, taking into account the track limits, and that was very, very gutting. That nothing more came of that race, but we put that behind us and move on to round 6 at USA. So we skip another round, unfortunately, due to outside commitments, but away we go again on minimal practice, really, and this race will somewhat demonstrate that. We start quite far back owing to our absence at the previous round in Brazil, running out wide there, and got the move done on Dovey a little bit. We're actually in a bit of a drag race down the straight there. Didn't quite make that work, went too deep on the brakes. Again, lack of practice at the end of the day. And yeah, it's just showing this the rustiness there that comes with not putting enough laps in preparation. Failed to prepare, prepared to fail at the end of the day. And coming through this section, we were in a less than optimal position track-wise. and we got clouted by, I think it was Hayden, I believe, and we spun round, and that sort of put us out of contention for any points in this race because we were still due a pit stop onto the soft tyres. So we had Bambino going past us as well. The setup seemed to be wrong as well, wasn't giving us what we needed. And then, unbeknownst to me, perhaps during that contact with Hayden, there was a little bit of damage that the team felt was necessary to repair, so the wing was changed. But came back out in 18th in a battle with Logitech for not last on lap 8. He ended up getting that done. We come back past him on the straight the following lap, which, you know, was some consolation for what was a lackluster race. Come round the final corner to finish what was not a good showing for me in 13th in the end, due to some other incidents further around the lap, some DNFs perhaps, but we move on very swiftly to the feature. We'll put the sprint behind us, hasn't gone to plan. Quali again, pretty average, not brilliant. So working way up to turn 1, there's a bit of a trend forming. Poor quali, average start. So working way through it, down to 16th now. So not the best start at all really. But looking to improve on that. Bit of a cut at the corner there to try and avoid cars ahead. Carried a bit more momentum through that corner than them. They were on the less than optimal line, so we made the moves past those guys. Logitech, Eat My Dust, and all those lot. As we had a car spinning off, it spud, losing it through the end of sector 1. Gio goes down the inside of me at the end of the straight on lap 3, with Banana Boss coming past me on lap 5. So that lack of straight line speed really showing. Eat My Dust also having a look down the inside while he could. Then later coming past me on lap 7. So the pace is just not really there at the moment, even with Eat My Dust on hards. Having said that, we did get a better exit from that corner, and we did in the end actually manage to hold the position. But, you know, with the DRS assistance, that straight line speed wasn't there. You know, setup wise, it just wasn't giving me what I needed. We had a safety car. Sitting in 7th at the moment. Some other drivers had pit a little bit earlier. Perhaps they were on the softs and needed to get in, and slightly before the safety car was called. We get on the soft tyres and come back out in 9th. Race gets back underway. Lost a bit of ground to the cars ahead, but quickly closed up to them.
Oh, catastrophic understeer.
And with this extra pace given to us on the soft tyre, we started making a few moves. So we came back past Eat My Dust on the inside down the pit straight, with our teammate just ahead of us in 7th place. So feeling a little bit more confident now.
Good straight line speed is a problem.
And as mentioned there, yeah, straight line speed just not really giving us what we needed, unfortunately.
Go for a desperate lunge and
but,
take us both out.
You know, push on anyways. A safety car again, which this was another ideal, ideal timing that allowed us, like in Saudi Arabia, to come in and get another set of soft tyres on. And we stayed in 9th again, but what we could do now is go on the attack in these final few laps. But you know, it was interrupted pretty quickly with another safety car, as there was an incident at the end of the back straight. But with a 2-lap sprint ahead, we went on the attack. We needed to go on the attack. But some of the work was done for us with this very, very close call. Multiple cars getting piled up, and I don't know how we avoided that. I really don't know. To this day, I still don't know.
Fuck me.
And as you can see, slowing it down, there was all sorts of carnage. AFC being involved, Dovey, Banana Boss, Eat My Dust, then came across and hit AFC again. It was absolute chaos. But with that, it promoted us to 6th, and Hayden, in fact, had a moment as he was trying to battle for the inside line. So we were 5th, although we've got into this battle with Dovey. He's got the inside line, tried to carry more speed around the outside, but not enough, just had a bit more traction than us. And we brought it round in the end, in P6, but we jumped up to P4.
P4 and Ryan come in P2.
So we had an amazing finish there, really capitalised on those ahead with penalties, and for some, I don't know how, but we didn't have any.
Get in there.
So we really made the most of that and jumped up to P4.
Ryan,
so close to a double podium as well.
P2 and P4.
But, you know, credit to Dovey, he drove really well too, I have to say. But yeah, really good return from the end of USA, which on a catastrophic lack of practice, I'd say was a good return. But we move on very, very swiftly to Austria in round 7. in the sprint, hoping to carry that momentum from the previous race. Peter not having an amazing start at all, really, getting spun around in turn 1. Sitting in P4 with our teammate on the outside, challenging us for that position. We were considering whether he was quicker, and we were thinking about the championship here ultimately.
I think he has.
So we don't want to hold him up too much, trying to give him the best chance of scoring good points today to solidify that championship challenge that he was building up to this point at just over the halfway point of the season. We're actually well into the second half of the season now. So, in fact, Not Easy had quite a big off in that section, went well off the circuit. So it promoted me to third. Ryan was up to first, so we took the opportunity to come in and take an undercut. We come in and get off the mediums and put on the soft tyres for the remaining 10 laps of the race. Rejoined in 6th, came up behind Hayden. I think we rejoined in 6th, but we caught up to the back of Hayden, went very deep on the brakes, but got the move done. Really good traction on the exit there. As we had 2 more making their pit stops at Eat My Dust and Boyworm, and it promoted myself and Ryan into a 1-2 position with 8 laps to go, which was pretty unprecedented. But at that point, Ryan was showing really good pace, so he came tearing back past us. We then chose to sort of sit in his slipstream and pull us along, and maybe capitalise on errors later. Though we did have a safety car interruption again,
See what Ryan does.
and a couple of laps later we got back underway. With Ryan on the back, and interestingly we had Shane, who was a lap down on us, also looking to unlap himself, as it appeared, which was had some very close calls of him, that's for sure. But you know, it's hard to ignore him. That we turned our attention as much as we could on Ryan ahead of us to try and make that move. Got a good drag down the straight, perfect braking point. And not a bad exit either, and managed to get the move done as we bring it round the final corner. Myself and Ryan are on for a 1-2 finish.
Oh my fucking god! Yes! Fucking hell, yes! Get to there, Ryan! Come on! Yes! Yes!
That was definitely the highlight of the season for me.
Come on,
I can already say now. We had some other really good results, but a 1-2 for McLaren felt good.
Beautiful.
To help Ryan in the championship, help our chance in the constructors.
Lovely.
A track I wasn't overly confident at, but
oh my
for whatever reason, the setup I picked out managed to work wonders for that race. So 1-2 is a beautiful way to take us into the feature. Starting in P12, so slightly better quality than some previous races. Lights out, and away we go. PSV not getting the best start. We're up the inside of Menno as well. And we had Zondy going round, we had Eat My Dust going round trying to avoid him, and because Zondy then backed across the track, probably to get out of the way, didn't see me there either.
Oh, I think it was another one, PSV.
We had a bit of a collision, it dropped me back somewhat. But we had PSV going round, he hit the inside wall at turn 1.
I think I am
safety car coming out as well, but we opted to stay on track and make use of these mediums for a little bit longer in this race.
Oh shit, got one off. Oh.
And we had, Autodromo went off the circuit on the restart, obviously a bit too much power. So catch up to Dovey now, down the inside, battling for P4 at turn 3. Not the best exit from that corner. Quite frustrating, nearly got that done, but got a better run out of turn 1 on lap 12 and completed the move quite comfortably in the end, despite being on the mediums. So made the most of that, and a bit of a shaky exit, but got the move done, which was quite satisfying, I must say. Peter came past us, he was showing some really good pace in the second half of the season, showing some really consistent results, so he was forming a bit of a challenge with Zondy on the championship, along with Ryan. Charlie came up the inside of us on lap 18 as well, so we were starting to lose a bit of pace here. So we had to try and maintain some momentum where we could. We lost position to Not Easy as well. By the looks of it, tried to keep it round the outside, but yeah, not quite got the traction we need at that point. So a couple of laps later, we chose to dive in and change onto a set of soft tyres to hopefully take us to the end. So rejoined 10th and thought, yeah, we can go on the attack now. We've got really quite fresh softs versus those on fairly use mediums or softs, and yeah, we're gonna have a bit of an advantage here. So we went on a push, got past Dovey. A few laps later, we had Not Easy going round. He was the one that got past me earlier. He's obviously not having an easy time of it himself.
Oh. Is that a full safety car?
And safety car
It
was
is.
deployed on lap 28. It's about 8 or 9 laps to
I
go.
don't think it's worth losing the track position.
But we decided to stay out,
Speed here, so if you lose,
which
as long
in
as you get the
hindsight
exits
probably
right,
wasn't the
you're
best move, but we thought we'd have enough life in the tyres to hold on to a decent position. But you know, you need good traction. If your tyres are slightly worn versus your opponents, they're going to have a big advantage over you. Ryan was getting a lot of challenge from Bambino. We actually lost that position to Bambino. Ryan fell down to third as well. We had Charlie looking down our inside as well. Very frantic scenes in these final few laps as my tyres started to go off. Only got a few laps to go. Full sweat mode activated at this point. To try and hold on to position. Menno went round my outside but hit the back of Charlie. And well, we tried to capitalise on that to, you know, get the move back, get that 5th place back, but unfortunately, just a bit too quick on the exit. Easy was coming back at us. He was down the inside, and shuffled out a little bit, but you know, it's all legal. It's a fair move. And Spud also getting that because we just didn't get the momentum out of turn 1. We're sitting in 6th at this point, sorry. And luckily, we would hold on to 6th place despite that penalty. There was other drivers around us with penalties.
Did he win?
And fortunately, we still managed to score decent points in the feature at Austria.
17th to 2nd, Jesus
But
Christ.
Ryan coming in with 2nd as well, so another really good result. Peter just ahead of him.
That was tough.
No Zone D DNF'd. So that challenge was still sort of hotting up in the drivers. We move on to round 9 at Belgium for the sprint, starting in 15th again, owing to an absence from Spain a week previous. And had a look down the inside and might have grabbed 1 or 2 positions there actually. It's quite opportunistic, but you know, got it done up to 13th using the ERS to move past Charlie on the back of Boyworm here. Coming up the hill now, absolutely flat out. Just got a track limit penalty there, not penalty, a warning even. So not a good start really. You need to sort of keep an eye on that. Make sure I don't accumulate any more. As Charlie was looking down the inside at that corner, AFC I think that was, went off the track. So not a good moment for him. Boyworm comes back up our inside. We get another track limit warning, so there, my point exactly. Sort of accumulating too many penalties too early. Spud loses it at Puon. And we narrowly avoid him. No idea where he was going to end up, so that was more luck than judgment, I think. Dovey, in fact, as well, that was probably a bit of judgment. Some luck as well, of course, to avoid that one. Even more carnage further around the lap. I think it was PSV and
What is going on?
perhaps Gio that was round as well, so they had some contact through the S's out of Puon. And on lap 3, there was a safety car deployed. So we opted to get in and get off the mediums and put on the soft tyres to take us to the end, while we still had this interruption to reduce the time spent in the pit lane. We come out 9th on the back of Boyworm. We had another safety car on lap 6, but owing to the fact that we'd made our pit stop already, we didn't need to pit in again. So we held on to track position, restarted the race in 5th. Zone D put a lot of pressure on us up the inside, into the bus stop chicane, tried to hold the insides, a lot of contact.
Leave some space.
And hoping for a little bit more room there, but didn't quite get it. Zone D then on lap 10, a few laps later, went too wide through Puon, and it just pulls you out. It just pulls you out. There's no recovery from that unless you slow down. Bambino on the outside now was looking to make a move. He didn't then get the inside into this section, I believe it's Stavolo. And he got that done in the end, but we ended up coming across the line in P6 on track.
Is it going to be P7, hopefully?
But we were carrying that penalty,
Yes,
so we dropped back to 7th, which, you know, wasn't the worst.
You know what, I started P15.
Knowing where we started in this race, as I mentioned, 15th place. Ryan ended up winning, though.
Was zoned out.
So it was a fantastic result for him yet again.
That's going to be quite pivotal for
and again, he's really helping his chances in the drivers to hopefully take that title. at what was round 9, the sprint race in round 9 out of 11. So nearing the end of the championship at this point, get set for the feature race. Rain at the beginning, but it was planned it was going to be easing later in the race. Bear in mind we started in 14th, I believe.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
And, well, out of turn 1, we're 6th.
Okay, I'll take it. P6. Fucking hell, man. Just call me Moses, chat. Just call me Moses. I'm fucking parting the waters here.
So head back down after what was quite an amusing start to the race. Sitting in 5th at this point, you know, just behind Brad. Obviously, someone needed a pit ahead.
Just gonna go softs.
And then it was on lap 4. It didn't take long, but the track then began to dry out. So we were told to come into the pits to get onto a set of softs. Unfortunately, our teammate was just ahead of us, so we had to wait for him to complete his stop before we could be serviced. And some interesting rejoins in the pit lane, I must say. But
Jesus Christ.
look ahead as the track continues to dry out.
Bloody hell.
Further safety car interruptions.
Let's try again.
So we took this opportunity actually to come in and change onto the mediums, because at this point the mediums would make it to the end of the race. So if there was no more safety cars, we wouldn't need to pit again. So as we restart again on lap 7, it's blue skies now. You wouldn't believe it. It's a wet start to the race. In P9, so plenty of ground still to make up if it was possible to do so. Shane's looking at the back of us in what was quite a clean move in the end. Good traction on the exit as well, so we pretty much got that done. Well, we come back past him with the DRS, so yeah, making full use of the assists available to us in Formula 1 to get that move done. He came back on the following lap, but there was an instant ahead, and AFC got left across the track. Shane had nowhere to go, and ended up hitting the side of him. And it allowed me to sneak through and hold 7th place. Due to another safety car interruption, we restarted again, stayed out on the same tyres, protected a bit of wear on them so they'd be even better shape at the end of the race. So a little bit more, well, we lost a couple of positions, you know, net couple of positions lost, but still in a good spot for the race. There's a lot of drivers on softs who, you know, may or may not make it to the end depending on when they pit. But yeah, we'll push on. Zondy got past us down the Kemmel Straight. Quite a comfortable move. So did Pro. Both of them on softs actually, so they may have pit during that previous safety car to give them a lot more momentum.
Ride height's 3.7. Oh, fuck.
And we had another safety car interruption, would you believe? And we took this opportunity to then pit again with our teammate coming in, doing the same thing to give us a fighting chance in these final few laps, despite losing the track position somewhat. We're still in 7th on this restart, and with the extra pace given by the softs. So having said that, a lot of the other drivers around us probably did the same thing. So we had some pressure from Charlie on the outside. He got a much better launch, much better exit out of La Source. Us getting quite a bucket load of wheel spin really. Still holding on to, you know, no penalties at this point, despite carrying those 2 warnings from lap 1. You know, we're not quite got a penalty yet, so that's a relief. Trying to defend from Boyworm, but ran a bit too wide there, and yeah, dropped back behind him into 9th. But all sorts of carnage up here. Ryan, unfortunately, coming off worst out of the lot, carrying a 3-second penalty of his own, but running wide due to some contact at La Source. Managed to get past him. Charlie went round, narrowly avoided him. Lucky he got on the brakes a little bit, otherwise that would have been an almost certain incident. They're up to 7th and then went for a last-ditch attempt at a move on Brad, which didn't come off, went too deep on the brakes. And we stayed in 7th, but moved up to P5 thanks to penalties and cars ahead.
Got P5 somehow.
So that was a relief. That was definitely a relief to finish that race with fairly decent points again. And, well, we move on to the penultimate round of the championship at Singapore, the night race, number 1. Number 2, actually, we're at Saudi Arabia at round 1. And we started 4th with Ryan in 2nd. So, you know, a good start for this sprint, owing to our good result from the feature. last time out at Belgium. Dropped a position to Peter though, bit squirrely on the exit. With Gio losing some ground as well, Peter got past him and I found my way past on lap 3. Quite a simple move in the end, just down the inside. And here the rain started again. We had some changeable weather, just like in Belgium, only the other way around. And we had to wait because Ryan was coming in. I didn't want to be held up in the pits. I thought at this stage there was still a bit of pace left in at least half the lap to give me an edge that I could try and gain a bit of time back as opposed to being stuck behind him waiting for the double stack to complete at the pit stop. So I think out of that we may have lost a bit of time. It felt like it cost us the race a little bit, but we pushed on anyway in the wet conditions. Always been a big fan of racing Singapore, so tried to experiment with a few different lines, see if we can get a better exit. We're in this train with Menno, Gio and McGamer. McGamer had a bit of contact with the wall. We had a bit of contact with him as he tried to correct himself. We ended up sort of dragging past him, and owing to us being able to hit the apex just right, we got the move done on him, up to P6 at that point. And we had another safety car as we were building some momentum. We had to back off and just wait for the race to restart. But as we were being told, even at the start of the race and by Jeff at this point, we had to come in and change tyres again. But there were some very interesting tactics from my pit crew, putting Red Bull to shame there with the pace they were out in the lane. Yes, with a handful of laps left, track dried out again on softs. In fourth, with our teammate in third, or I think he was carrying some kind of wing damage here because he didn't get a good run through the penultimate corner. Penultimate and final corner, I should say. As we go past him. And we were on the final lap now. And we're hoping Peter would get a penalty, but with Charlie getting one instead, it gave us the window to perhaps grab a second place. And would you believe it? We did.
Yes! Second place! Come on! Yes! Come on, man.
Very narrow, but it was just over a tenth and a half over Charlie.
Yes.
But we grabbed P2, and that was a very satisfying result, a track that I actually quite enjoy. So we tried to carry that momentum in, those good vibes, into the feature here. Dry start, fortunately. And lights out, and away we go in 7th, which again was actually quite a good qualifying for me. As Ryan loses it through turn 1 and 2. We end up on the outside of Boywell going into the inside for this next corner. And we'll get a better, I don't know if it was a better exit actually. McGamer's gone as well, he's just clouted the wall and that's his race done. And Boywell's still on the inside, so I left him a bit of room, but owing to be on the outside I got a better exit, completed that move. And we got a safety car on lap 3, with us sitting in 4th, Ryan in 6th.
Right. Coming in.
So we're hoping to try and put some pressure on Zondy and Peter at this point, sort of assist Ryan in the championship by mitigating their points.
Thanks for sending your viewers over.
So we made a pit stop onto the medium tyres as early as we could to get that stop out of the way, although we'd probably need another pit stop later on. The race gets back underway, sitting in 8th, and Brad unfortunately has gone round in a similar place
Who was that?
to that incident at the beginning of the race with Ryan. Catching up to the back of Dovey now, seemed a bit slow through the tunnel. I don't know if he got a bit of oversteer and just didn't have a good run. We did the over and under on him, went up to P6 on the mediums.
Another safety car.
To which another safety car was deployed about half a lap or so later. We got that back underway, no need to pit. So we got back underway, sitting in P4 at this point, Zondy just ahead. So we just made some change on the MFD and I hit this inside curb. And then for some reason, what really caught me out, I seemed to get wheel spin on the exit there, which, it was after the restart and perhaps the tyres were a bit cold. But
I think
the car went round on me. I didn't even think to catch it. I didn't have time. It caught me out. It was something I wasn't expecting.
First feature race retirement for Kieran since... What? Are you serious? Yeah, because the Monza DNF was a sprint race. Hungary was a sprint race this season. I didn't think about that. Really? Season 1, round 6. We're in season 6.
What we're just hearing there is what was pointed out in our Discord server, CSGB League, is that I've been in this championship in this league since the beginning, and that was my 47th feature race start, and my first retirement in those, well, since season 1 round 6, and we are now in season 6, and that just blew my mind a little bit. I'm not even going to lie. We go into the Bahrain though, the finale of the championship, round 11. We're in all sorts of traffic here, all sorts. We have a bit of contact with Hayden, and obviously that's the nature of being in amongst the pack at the beginning of a race, particularly a sprint race at the end of the season, no doubt as well. Boxed in a little bit by Dovey there, so it didn't really want to go into as deep into the corner as we'd like. We had a car round. It was Brad, unfortunately, again. I think he was out. Yep, he was out.
Zondy's lost his wing, I think.
Zondy in a lot of strife as well, which wasn't going to help his case in the championship. Lifeline thrown to Ryan once again to help him sort of protect his lead in the championship. We're trying to try and defend this position. This attack from Noise job, but not to be. Spud then come past us as well, down to P12 in this race. Not really finding the pace we needed. We had Spud hitting the inside curb, and I think that just upset the balance of the car because he hit me and then spun out, which initially I thought, have I contributed to that? But I don't think so.
Kieran.
Unfortunately, we had this same issue again, where I didn't realise I was carrying even minor damage, and the team opted to change my wing. So that was a bit of a shame. So we went on the attack and attempted to try and grab a point in this race because the 8th place was just up ahead. So we put the hammer down on lap 12. We caught the back of Dovey after seeing off Spud and Gio a couple of laps ago. So we got past Dovey. He was carrying some DRS as well with this from Hayden. There was a big lag spike for Hayden. I think he disconnected, or it seemed that way. No, it just seemed like it. He had a big slide out of turn 2, and we managed to get past both of them and held those positions until the checkered flag. So managed to grab ourselves a single solitary point in the sprint, but given the fact that the wing was changed unexpectedly, you can't complain. Might have got a point or 2 extra without that, but still a good result. As we go into the final race of the season, sending our best wishes to Ryan for his championship challenge. It was going down to the final race again. I say again, actually, last season it went down to the penultimate race. But yeah, another tense finish. It went down to the final round at least. As we get underway, starting in 14th, I don't know if we started in 14th, but certainly sitting in that position as we head down to turn 1. Gained a couple of places on the exit. Dovey went round, McGamer went round, net P11 out of that, with Spud and Brad on my outside. Not much I can do here. In fact, Spud backed off completely for some reason. I'm not sure why. Perhaps it was yellow flags, meant he couldn't overtake. As Gio McGamer put the overtakes on me, and we had to sort of settle for that and think about the long game. Sort of follow them, keep using DRS. Pro managed to get past. I think that was something with the setup for me that was preventing me from getting the top end speed that I needed. But still held on, made use of these guys to pull me along in this race.
Given that Ryan is 11 seconds behind and he's still going to have another stop to make, I'm going to stick with this, I think. I know he's going to be catching, but still.
So at this point we're sort of considering the possibility of a 1-stop, which meant we'd be pitting onto the hards in several laps' time. In fact, I'll say several laps' time. It'd actually be this lap to give us 16 lap stint on the hard tyres. And what we were trying to do was trying to assist Ryan in any way we could. But considering the state of our tyres, we weren't going to be able to put much of a fight, and our lack of a straight line speed as well, no doubt. We rejoined the track in 13th on the hards, and the plan was just to take these to the end, really, assuming there'd be no kind of other interruptions. As other drivers pit, we were up to 6th. Ryan then came back past us on... Well, I say back past us. He came past us on lap 19. Did not hold him up in any way. Zondy was looking at the back of us as well, doing whatever I could to try and defend that position. But given the difference in compound and age, there was very little I could do.
No chance. He's on softs. No chance.
So dropped back to 6th. Zone D, he was still like 13 laps behind, although he had some kind of issue on lap 25 for some reason. I'm not really sure what happened there. Might have had a bit of wing damage and just spun out or something like that. I'm not sure myself. But that put him out of contention completely. So we're up to P6 again. McGamer went past us on the softs, as did Gio, lap later. Something like that. And, well, we weren't able to do much to defend against those guys. And, well, we came on to the final lap with reports from Jeff that Gio had ran out of fuel, and there we are. So it promoted us back to 6th place. And that's where we'd end up finishing.
I don't believe it. Well, GG, Peter. First and foremost, congratulations on the F2 tier championships for Season 6, but massive commiserations to Ryan. Valiant effort, absolutely valiant effort, but not to be on this occasion. He dropped back behind McGamer. Did he run out of fuel as well?
You can see there, Ryan dropped back another position, unfortunately, which I think was actually down to his penalty, his track limit penalty, rather than fuel related, like
no real dramas.
Like Gio, who ended up DNFing actually because he didn't make it to the line.
That's pretty damn good around a lot of soft
but quite a pleasing result actually, a P6 at Bahrain, considering it was a one-stop from mediums to hards, which wasn't really meant to be a quick strategy. Made it work.
And yet so far, I know how that feels when you're so close. Can smell it, you know? Can smell the champagne, at least the virtual champagne. And it doesn't quite work out, but you know what? It was a really valiant effort. Should be proud. Should be proud.
And there we have it. There is the Season 6 Championship in a nutshell. The CSGB League. Ryan coming in second with 170 points, only 4 shy of Peter, agonisingly. We came in 8th, missed 3 rounds of the season out of the 11, but still scored 80 points, which is pretty respectable. Which gives McLaren a total of 250. Which we really can't complain about. Finished 2nd place, 3 wins and 13 podiums. Actually 28 point scores across the whole season. 65 away from Red Bull, so it's a big score for them. So not much we could do to usurp them for the win in the championship, constructors, but still a really good championship nonetheless. So thanks everyone, and goodbye.